So let's use this as a training session because having purpose to whatever we're talking about seems to always be helpful. So let's use it as a training session.
Okay.
What's it like to be married to me?
It's I don't even know where to start with that because it's so hard to be married to you. Because here's what's hard. So you don't like to have any free time at all. Like you don't like to relax, you don't like to rest, and so you are constantly coming up with new things to do. And not only is it a new thing that you want to do, it's this is something that I want to do that I'm sure Laura would just love to do with me without even asking. You're just like, okay, we're gonna do this. Um, Case in point, this podcast. You're just like, hey, we're gonna do this podcast together. And even today, I was like, we're sitting and you're like, we're gonna do so you said we are gonna do it on Sundays. And I was like, cool. And then today, you're like, no, we're doing it today. Well, I didn't want to do it today. I was all ready for yesterday. So, what does it mean when you decide that we're going to do something together so you have something fun to, so you get to edit and have fun and put things together, right? So, that's what you said. It's not recorded, but you're like, I need something to do today. So, what does that mean for me? Well, it means we're sitting eating breakfast. And I'm like, okay, if I'm going to be recorded, I need to go wash my hair. I need to put my makeup on. Like, you just go put a shirt on. Like, he's wearing that shirt and like workout shorts, right? But I have to go put on my makeup. And I was like, well, the reason I like doing this on Sunday was because I wash my hair and get ready for church on Sunday. I'm already wearing a dress. I'm already like looking the way I'm supposed to look for this podcast. But no, we can't do that. So I now have to leave where I made breakfast and I now have to go put on my makeup. I have to, and I didn't get to wash my hair because no, how long would that take? That's going to take too long. And so I just had to pull it back and I had this dry shampoo. So that's why it looks like this.
It looks good.
And then, thank you. It's called dry shampoo. So then we come and we sit down, and the first thing I have to worry about is I had forgotten like how to connect my headphones. And so we're sitting there, Andy's sitting there on screen like this.
I was fine. I was trying to figure things out on my end too.
I'm telling you my side. This is my side. And so I'm trying to rush, and the more I try to rush, the more like anxious I get. So I finally get connected, and we have started this thing 10 times, 12 times, I don't know, I lost count.
Dare
And
we say 13?
13. We're gonna go with 13 because that's a good number.
Whoa.
13 times we've started this. And so we're rolling and I'm having a good time, and then we stop and Andy's like, you're just dead. You're just dead. I don't see it. I'm like, well, probably because I didn't want to do this today. I wanted to do it Sunday. So, okay, so I work it myself up. I work and I'm talking, and then he's like, no, that's boring. And so we talk again.
I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about us. Like there was nothing there.
I didn't say you said I was boring. You said, no, that's boring. That's exactly what I just said.
Yeah,
So
the subject material we were talking about was boring.
So here we are. We now have, almost 4 minutes of me telling you this is what life is like with Andrew. So when we talked about last week, he's a visionary and I work out the details and all. This is the reality of living with a visionary. Go put on a nice shirt, go do your makeup, go do your hair, because I want us to do this right now. And I even said, hey, let's stop. Let's come back to this one. Maybe we can do it, but no, we can't. We got to push forward. And here's where we are. Here's where we are. This is where we have pushed forward to.
Seems good because you're very passionate, and I think people can really connect to the struggles that wives have with prima donna husbands or alpha level males. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely alpha level. But the thing that is crazy to me is like, I love our relationship, but I also am at times like, can you not do this by yourself? Like, do I have to be involved in this? Because literally what I was just saying to him was, I don't like this. I don't like when we're trying to do something. So you've decided you want to do something different, something new to give you purpose, to give you something to do. and then it's not working and you're getting angry. And I have to deal with that anger. And I don't like that. I don't like, and I'm like, this is like not even something we have to do. It's just something you wanted to do. And now here we are and you're angry. So it's difficult. Here is reality. This is not like, our wonderful, lovely world. This is what we go through regularly.
I'm not angry now because I can hear that we're onto something.
Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly like, I wouldn't say I'm angry. I just am. I get I don't know. I'm just worked up. I'm worked up
Yeah,
because
and I can tell because our dog Blaze is in the background of your, and I can hear him groaning because he knows that we're going through
yes,
some emotional trauma, and he starts to get anxious and upset. So
yeah,
if you hear
yeah,
if you hear something weird like groaning or something, it's just our little dog in the background, concerned about Laura.
yeah, yeah. He follows me around and wants to make sure I'm okay. So yeah, that is a reality of marriage, and it's so hard because I get really upset and really frustrated because in my mind, I'm thinking, we don't even have to be doing this. Like, you don't even have to be angry about this. But we are. Like, and I think the podcast is a cool thing, but it's like it's supposed to be fun. And it has, for the past, 45 minutes, not been fun. So,
Well, it's not fun when it's not fun. It's fun when it's fun.
right.
You
And it's
know?
not, but when it's not fun, it's not like you can go, it's not like you're going to say, hey, you know what? We're not having fun. Let's just set this aside. No, when you say, oh, okay, we're not having fun. We're going to start this over and we are going to have fun. We're going to have fun. So that's what you do. But the thing is, it works because we do
Exactly.
finally, yeah.
See?
So,
Here we are. You're welcome.
I'm saying I agree. We are having fun. But it's like, oh my gosh, the length of time it takes to finally push through whatever it is, because it's always something different that's standing in the way of us accomplishing what we need to do. And so here we are sitting here, and you're like, I'm not having fun. And I'm like, well, we'll get there because we've recorded things. Oh, because we've had his vlog and all that. Like, this is not a new thing where it's like we have to record multiple times. And we know from experience, eventually, no matter if we record once or 10 times or 20 times, eventually we'll get it. But so many times it's like, how many times do we have to do this? And so this that we're talking about right now is not even what we were going to talk about. But this is where we are. And what we decided is, you know what? Let's just record reality. So
That's
here it is.
I like this a whole lot though because this is really important for relationships and for commitments to things. And like I'm not
Mhm.
even playing around. This is how you and I have made it through marriage a whole lot. Is by we decided like, hey, okay, we're not stopping. We're just going to keep
Mhm.
going, and we're going to work through this and get to that point where it gets really good. And I mean, we've learned how to do that so much in our marriage because at the beginning, and it's natural for anybody to get like mad at each other or not communicating and you just go separate directions. And I understand
Mhm.
that sometimes and for different couples or whatever, that's the right move. Okay. I'm just saying for you and me and for whoever might be watching that this could be helpful or I don't know. Like
Mhm.
it's not about the conflict and you just stop because you are having a conflict. It's
Mhm.
about that you stay together. Like you work
Mhm.
through it. And you heard Laura talking that like, yeah, this moment is very hard. And we've been here for like, let's just say 30, 45 minutes trying to figure out a podcast and something to talk about that had significance. And it's frustrating because for this time we weren't having fun. Nothing was happening. There was no like spark in the conversation of this piece. And yet we kept pushing. And yeah, it was
Mhm.
frustrating. Like I was getting frustrated because I hate it. I hate it when I know that we've got this great spark and something interesting and fun, and it just doesn't happen. And I definitely
Mhm.
admit that I'm like, why, Lord? Why? You're holding me back, Lord. I know you're doing this to me on purpose. And yet, because we both sat here, and I'm talking about on this podcast, but also in our relationship, to where we're like, no, we are not giving up. We're going to sit here and talk. We're going to work through it. It's terrible. It's annoying. It's frustrating. But when we get through it, it's even better.
Yeah.
Right. And that's happened so many times in our relationship. And we got better at that understanding as we've gone along.
Yeah, because I will tell you the only thing I wanna do is and I do it sometimes, is just get up and walk away and be like, "Mm-mm." And that that's infuriating for Andy, but I also get to a point that I'm like, I don't even care how Andy feels. Like, I get so frustrated and upset that I just wanna walk away. And, oh, it's and this was one of those moments when I said, "I'm gonna go lie down now," and obviously I didn't, because here we are. So,
No, and we're talking through it, but I don't want to do that. And sometimes I think it really helps, but I don't like it when it's like, okay, we're sitting down, we got the lights up, we're dressed up, you look fantastic, I can see that you've got some energy back there. It's just we're not quite hitting the right conversation piece.
yeah.
And I don't want to, like, okay, let's take a step away and go take a break and take a nap, and then we get disheveled and we wake up groggy and we've wasted the afternoon. And then it's just like, no, we're here, let's just do this, let's figure something out, and let's work through the frustration and the anger at not getting something of substance done. And then here we are to where we're talking for real. And I think this is
Mhm.
something that's compelling. And yes, we're talking about a podcast, but really it's a metaphor for what we go through in communication in our relationship. And I think a lot of other people do the same thing.
Yeah. Well, and I do feel like a lot of times our marriage does feel like a titanium garbage dumpster too, that you just have to, like, it's not like in Hollywood where everything's roses all the time. Like, it is hard. It is hard because here, Blaze, I when we get into an argument and when I don't feel good on the inside, what I want to do is step away and go process by myself, go to my room. I don't want to talk it out. I want to think it out. And Andy is very much different from that. He wants to talk it out. And so we have to work so hard to, like, validate both of those ways of thinking. And so, like, obviously this time I feel like was one of those we need to talk it out times. But it's like we communicate very differently. We process through things very differently, and that causes conflict. It makes it hard. Even after 27 years, it's still something we have to work on, because in a lot of ways we are very different people who complement each other, but also, like, it drives me crazy when he's like, "No, I wanna sit here and talk this out." Well, what about what I feel? What about what I wanna do, you know? So that's the reality of it.
Yeah, and I admit I don't like to leave a situation unresolved. I'd rather just continue and work through it and resolve it, because then we get to where we're in a good moment like this and we're really enhanced and even more connected. Okay, and
Mhm.
that work tends to work really well in other areas, right? Um, but the thing about letting you go away is, and especially earlier on in our marriage, is you would get very upset, you get mad, and you'd go away to process things on your own, and then you'd never come back. I don't
Yeah,
mean,
because 'cause I'd process it. I'd get myself right, and then I'd be like, "Okay, that's good. I'm all
yeah,
good to go."
exactly. I cannot stand that, because like there has to be resolution, because you would go away, and I'm not talking about leave or whatever. I'm talking about go to your room, or we'd fall asleep at night or whatever. And then you would just never ever come back.
Mhm.
If you were like, hey, I'm still upset with you for this, you would never do that. Or if you're like, you know what, I messed up. We need to talk some more about this. You just never would do it, and that was why I never liked the separation, because it would always work out better. I felt like if we just talk through things and resolve it. But
Mhm.
I think we've gotten better at that over the years.
I feel like we're, for the most part, we're getting better at it, but it's never easy. Like, I hate apologizing. I hate having to come to you and be like, "Okay, I was wrong in this." And I'm sure you feel the same when you're apologizing. Like,
It's
it's
hard.
the worst feeling in the world. I can't stand it. I Especially when we're arguing, because when we're arguing, I know I'm right. I know I'm right. And then as we talk and Andy shares his side, I realize that I did something wrong, and I can't stand that. I can't stand having to admit, not only was I wrong, but I thought I was right, and now
Yeah.
I'm not. Like, oh, I can't stand that.
Yeah, it's very hard for me to apologize too, but I don't have a problem with it. Like I think you get caught up in, because it's very important for you to be seen as someone who is wise and has intelligence, and that's a way you are validated. And so that's
Hmm.
hard for you to say you made a mistake. Whereas for me, I'm the opposite, to where like I accept my role as a titanium garbage dumpster. I'd rather not be. I'd rather be a skyscraper or a mighty ship or something. I don't know, but like I'm okay saying like, ah man, I messed up. Like it's hard for me sometimes too. Yeah, but like I don't care about saying like, man, shoot, I done goofed. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah. But
Um,
that's another difference between us is you have a lot of confidence in that. Like you said, you don't have a problem saying you're sorry. But I um for a lot of years have not had a lot of confidence. In fact, through being married to you and you putting me in these situations like making movies and vlogging and all that, that has really increased my confidence in myself and my belief in myself. But that's not my natural like state of being. My natural state of being is feeling like I always have to prove myself. I feel like I always have to prove that I am a worthy person,
yeah,
someone worth listening to. I've been that way for years. And so having to admit I'm wrong to me looks like as saying, well, now I have to admit I'm not worthy anymore, and so it's really challenging for me to because I have this like standard set for myself that if I don't meet that standard, then I'm not worthy. And I deal with that. I live with that every day of my life. So
sure. The opposite of the spectrum is that like you've got me who's like, well, I mean, I am worthy, so we should pretty much just do it my way.
yeah.
and and that could be a real problem, like
Mhm.
for in that sense you and I are kind of matched well, because I tend to take the lead, you tend to follow. That's a general overstatement, because you have so many things that where you're a dynamic expert in so many fields, to where I feel like I'm a master of none and a jack of all trades, to where you save me, you take the lead on so many things. But at the end of the day, I think it's like, yeah, I'm a lion. I am a alpha male in the sense of being a leader, and we go whatever direction I say. That's pretty
Yeah.
much how it works.
Well, you're the visionary.
Yeah,
Like, I am the live in the rut person, and I would stay there. Like I've said, but you're the visionary. You're the one who comes up with the dreams and like this podcast. Like, let's do this podcast. And so I am not that person at all. I don't. I am not going to put myself out there. But what works is you're going to put yourself out there and you're going to bring me along with you. And as much as I really hate it in the moment and don't want to do it, looking back, I can see, okay, well, that gave me a lot more confidence in that field, or that gave me an opportunity to try something new. And I had to extend myself and it turned out okay. And I'm still alive. And um, so it's hard to be married to you because you are that visionary, but I also know if I wasn't married to you, the person I am today would not exist. So I have to follow you to be a better person. So,
and I'm the same way, because I am and I have been a much more selfish, prideful, self-centered jerk, egotistical, guy that has to have his way.
mhm,
And seeing how you go about life has changed me. It's transformed me into a person who wants to honor the other person by, trying to meet their needs. And
mhm,
it's not been easy for me, because I feel like to be a leader is to make snap decisions sometimes, and you have to stand your ground because you're a leader, and then you go that certain direction, and it costs certain things in a relationship or with people, because you're a leader and you make decisions. But I've also become so much more kind and humble and accepting and understanding and a better listener, because of the way you've taught me how to do that, and how much I appreciate when you've done it for me. But it's not been easy.
no. And I also feel like, too, we're getting better at communicating. Like, I'm getting better at expressing myself when I'm frustrated. Like in the past, if we were going through this, like what we're trying to do to get this podcast going, I would have just walked away and I wouldn't have communicated to you my frustration. And so, um, I think I'm getting better at saying, "I don't like it when you do this. I don't feel good on the inside when you do this." So
So as far as
that's helpful.
as far as today, the thing you don't like is how we were stuck trying to get a podcast out, something of substance, something good, and it wasn't working, and I
Mhm.
was getting upset.
Right. Right, because I'm like, "Okay, if this is upsetting you and it's not like this mandatory thing we have to do, why are we even doing it?" We can just not do it, and then you don't have to be angry. And so that's my frustration is, um, why do we even do it? If you're gonna be mad about it.
Right. And I don't like to get mad. I don't like to get worked up and frustrated. And that's one of my lifelong challenges is to help myself step back and not get upset. And I've come a long way. But I admit,
Mhm.
like, I still get really frustrated with the creative process when things aren't working. And it's just like I'm hitting a wall and we're doing everything and it's the right time and it's just not happening. But I'm okay with working through these things to where in the end result, we get something like this, right? So
Right.
the question to you is, I know the answer, but just for people listening, like, do you want to do this podcast, or would you rather not do it?
No, I want to do the podcast. But one of the things that I said to Andy that I think is true is if we do this podcast once a week, we're going to have to face the reality that we're probably going to be mad. We're probably going to be right back in this exact same spot because something will go wrong. Like maybe we go 10 minutes and it's great and then something happens and like I want to do this. I think what we're recording now is really good and really worth it. But I also know that every week there's a potential that we're going to have to go through this same process again and again. Or maybe everything is fine on the first shot. But yeah, I want to do it, but I also know this could be a beating every week.
Yeah, but see, I like this. I'm not saying I want to go through the beating, and I don't think it'll happen every week. I think there's some
Yes.
weeks, just like last week, it'll be really fun. We have a good time, and good things come out. But I would rather go through the beating and the challenge to come out on the other side to where we're done with the podcast, and you and I, get together because we're in separate rooms right now. But we get together and we're like,
Mhm.
that was great, and we feel that satisfaction, and we're kind of excited, and we feel like, hey, you know what, we accomplished something today, right?
Yeah. See, that's what's crazy to me. Even after being married as long as we have, like my thinking is why? Why would you want to go through that beating? Like you could just avoid it and live. You could go read a book. You could do like, why do you want to go through this beating?
Yeah.
But you have definitely taught me because I mean, this is obviously not the first time this has happened. And you have really shown me how it is part of that creative process. And if you will work through it, if you will stay committed, you'll get to a point where you have something that you can be like, this is good. I'm glad I did this. And obviously this finally turned into something that it needed to, but oh, the process was so hard. And I'm also thinking I should quit saying the word obviously. I've heard myself say it so many times and it's not necessarily obvious at all. So, there's that.
So I guess that's one of the points, the takeaways of what I would want someone who is watching this, looking at a marriage to see, what makes Andy and Laura's marriage so over the top amazing because obviously they love each other. Well, it's because we go through stuff that's really hard, but we
Mhm.
stick together and there's no question that like this is just what we do, okay? And we'd rather go through some things that are difficult because we're going to stick together. And when we get through it, we're going to be even more bonded and appreciate each other even more. And that's happened over the course of our marriage over and over and over.
And the cool thing about this is that we can share it with other people, to be like, "Hey, maybe this will help you. Maybe this will help you to see how challenging it is for everybody."
What's not helping me is hearing Blaze in the background, our little dog, keep whining,
I
and it's
know.
super annoying because
Well,
he's 13 years
he's
old.
13. He's 13. He's earned the right to act like that. He can do that because he's 13.
That's fine. I just don't want it being distracting for people as we're saying some pretty good things here.
Yeah.
So I guess let me think. Blaze, stop.
He can't hear you.
Oh, you got headphones on. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think about the the training or the help for other people. You know,
Mm.
if you're married to, or if you're going to be ending up with someone who is a leader like me, or if you are going to be with someone who is a kind person and sweet, but doesn't necessarily like to push themselves every single day and all that, like you, like how would they go about that? Like I think about, man, if I wasn't with you, Laura, and I was with someone who was kind of like me, they take charge, they're a leader, like wow, I don't know how that would even work. I think it could be super dynamic, but I feel like it would be really hard to have two people that are the same, and it's like they're always getting their way. Like how do
Mhm.
they even work together? I don't know.
Yeah, because I feel like I think really for the most part you get your way. Like, and I'm a support, and that's my role. Like that's the kind of person I am. So you are in a relationship where you know you're probably going to get your way because I like supporting you and doing the things you do and following your ideas because I don't really have any of my own. Um, I mean, adventure-wise, but it works out well because the things you wanna do, we do. So, um,
And
yeah, I
that's
don't
not
know.
that's not necessarily all the way true either, because there's a situations that come up. For example, when you're a teacher at the high school level and it was a really hard year last year or the year before, to where you were all, the teachers were not getting the administrative support. There was not substitute teachers that would come in, people who were not qualified were coming in. And so I saw you struggling. That was one of your passions, is teaching. And so I came in as a substitute teacher who has a background in
Mhm,
teaching, and I was there to help you out. And I took my time off from doing dissertation and things like that to help you for a number of months in that
mhm.
situation. And so it's not like it's all about me. And I have to admit that
Right,
I'm the
right,
leader. I am the leader, so it does tend to be about whatever I feel like doing. But it's also because it seems like you want to support and go with me.
right. That's definitely what one of the things I have learned to appreciate is the adventures that we've been on, the really cool things that we've done. I never would have come up with that. I never would have persisted in that. The movies we've made, coming to Texas A&M, all of the changes, like I never would do that. So I've learned that it is beneficial to me to follow the ideas that you have and to support you because on the end, I get to see something I'm really proud of and really excited to have been a part of that I never would have had that idea myself. So, um, yeah, it's hard in the moment, but it's always like looking back, I'm appreciative. So
But what's maybe something that you want to do that I have said no to, or that we
that's
just
the
don't?
thing. Like, I don't have the ideas. I don't think there's any significant thing that I've said, "Here's my idea of what I wanna do," and you said no. I feel like, it's just I just don't have those grand schemes in my mind.
So here's the caveat. I'm able to do the grand schemes because you get my back. If people see value in me, it's because I know I can step out, and no matter what, you're going to be there to get my back. I could not do that without you backing me up. So it's like, I'm the man I want to be. I have this leadership and this charisma and this strength. And I think the other people look at it and say, wow, I want that. But it's because of what you've done for me. You've gotten my back and supported me. You know what I mean? And I see other people out there in marriages to where it's like one of the partners does not get the back of the other person, and it ends up being like, yeah, you've got control, but like now you don't have the dynamic relationship that you could have, because I think you're not getting the back of your partner. Like
But
if you don't,
that's something that at the beginning of our relationship, I didn't do, and you
yeah.
told me early on, one of your problems was I never had your back, and you were right. I never did have your back. I was always trying to mediate and trying to keep everyone happy with each other, and if there was a situation going on, you were the one I was gonna throw under the bus, and, I was that way, and I did not have your back, and I had to learn, I had to teach myself how to do it, and it was not comfortable, and I didn't like that either. So, but it did get easier with time. It just became the way things were done.
Okay, so the question is, why did you make that switch from where you had to let go of some control to where you supported me and got my back? Because a lot of people
Because
can't do it.
yeah, well, it was because we separated. And when we got back together, I knew if I wanted this relationship to work, I had to have your back. That was not non-negotiable.
I mean, that's true. That's true. Because I feel like there's calling, there's a vision, and there's things that I want to do in life, and it's like I have to do these things, and I needed someone as a partner to go with me. So at the end of the day, I think it's kind of where we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know if we've learned anything or explained or talked about anything of substance, but there's a 30-minute show about two people communicating and the ins and outs of arguing through something to find maybe a piece that could be key to helping other people. Maybe not, but at least there's an insight into two average people living in the garbage dumpster of attempting to serve the Lord.
Yes. I don't have anything to add to that.
Okay, well, you know what? When I stop recording, we'll have words.
Okay. I'm sure we will. I'm sure there will be words right after this.
All right, we'll see you next time.